Loneliness, betrayal, self-doubt. These are not the words most people think of when they hear music anime. But that's exactly where girls band anime begins. I love anime. The intense action scenes, the sweeping romances, the wild adventures, the quiet slice of life stories. Every genre has its own charm, and there's always something for everyone. But out of everything I've watched, it's girls band anime that weirdly, consistently speaks to me the most. Behind every melody or performance, there's a story about characters who are hurting, characters who are scared, aimless, or even abandoned. Bocchi hides in her shell, terrified of speaking to anyone. Nina is betrayed and left behind. Kumiko struggles with doubt, unsure if she even belongs in music at all. And yet, these stories don't stay there. What makes girls band anime so powerful is the journey, from isolation to connection, from pressure to liberation, from silence to music. In this video, I'll try to show you my perspective on why these shows are so good through loneliness and fear, societal expectations, uncertainty and self-doubt. Each series in this genre shines a spotlight on different struggles, and together they form a bigger story about life, growth, and finding your voice. Some bands are born from ambition, others are born from dreams, but in Bocchi the Rock, the band begins with something else entirely: loneliness. Loneliness is a deeply human experience, and there are countless definitions and interpretations that you may or may not agree with. However, one thing's for sure, it isn't just about being physically alone. It's about feeling disconnected, like wanting to reach out but feeling like no one truly sees or understands you. You can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated if those relationships don't meet the connection you need. That emptiness can come from rejection, misunderstanding, or simply not fitting in. For some, that distance grows even wider through social anxiety, one of the most invisible struggles people can face. It should not be confused with shyness, and there is a clear distinction between the two. While shyness is often situational and anyone can experience it from time to time, social anxiety is the constant fear of saying the wrong thing, being judged, or taking up space. It makes even simple interactions exhausting, and over time, this disorder consistently interferes with or prevents you from doing everyday activities and can negatively affect every part of your life. And that's where Bocchi the Rock begins. The show takes the heavy reality of social anxiety and demonstrates it in absurd, over-the-top slapstick comedy. Instead of expressing Bocchi's panic through quiet trembling or subtle hesitation, it erupts into complete emotional meltdowns. She literally distorts space and time, dissolves into doodles, hides inside cardboard boxes, or melts into the floor the second she feels overwhelmed. On the surface, it's funny, but beneath the humor is something painfully real. These visual interpretations work because they transform an invisible struggle into something we can see or perhaps feel. They capture the sense of imbalance that social anxiety often brings. What I mean by that is like how a casual interaction with just a few words spoken can feel as catastrophic as the end of the world. For Bocchi, even the tiniest moment can spiral into disaster, and those wild reactions capture that perfectly. While Bocchi the Rock shows how loneliness and anxiety can hold you back from reaching out to others, Girls Band Cry takes a very different angle. Every member of this band carries scars from betrayal, sacrifice, prejudice, family problems, or failure. It's heavy, messy, and dramatic, and unlike Bocchi, whose struggles play out in surreal comedy, the girls in Girls Band Cry fight. Literally in bars, in public, with drinks flying. It's open conflict, born from expectations and wounds that society has placed on them. Societal expectations are the unwritten social rules, norms, and standards of behavior telling you how you should act, what you should value, and what you're supposed to become. While they can provide social cohesion, it can also lead to internalized pressure or failure if you don't achieve specific metrics. Fit in, keep quiet, follow the path, and if you step out of line, you'll pay for it. The show digs into how expectations shape each character's life and how music saved them from completely breaking down. Take Nina, for example. Apart from the fact that she is one of the most hot-headed, impulsive, and annoying character I have ever seen on screen before, her sense of justice and the way she doesn't back down when she thinks she's right is remarkable. Back in high school, she saw someone being bullied and she couldn't just look away. However, the world around her wasn't built for confrontation, and people preferred to smooth things over, keep the peace, and pretend nothing was happening, even if it meant letting cruelty continue. By stepping in, Nina broke that unwritten rule and paid for it. The bullies turned on her, but so did the very girls she tried to protect, joining in with them just to escape the spotlight. Even her best friend, the one person Nina trusted to stand beside her, told her it was her own fault, that she should have stayed out of it, and then abandoned her completely. Worst of all, her parents echoed the same idea, that it was Nina's problem for interfering, that she had brought it on herself. Betrayed at every level, Nina was left isolated and unwanted. The school, her friends, even her family, all of them made it clear she didn't belong. With nowhere left to turn, she ran to the city. Not for freedom, but because she had nothing to stay for. The girls in Girls Band Cry fought against the world. With that, they explored the weight and the damage of external expectations. However, Sound Euphonium takes the opposite approach and focuses on internal struggles. The anime discusses that it's less about defying what others demand from you and more about confronting the uncertainty of your own desires and the self-doubt that comes from not knowing whether you're enough to pursue them. In short, the show asks, who am I really? And what do I want? Uncertainty isn't self-doubt, though we often confuse the two. Uncertainty can be defined as not knowing. In other words, there is a lack of clarity. It's when you don't have enough information to make sense of what's ahead, where you'll go, what you'll do, or whether the choices you make will lead anywhere. And that's the practical side of it. On the emotional side of uncertainty, you don't just question your plans, you question whether any of it will make you happy or if you're even moving in the right direction. Self-doubt, on the other hand, is not about the future, but about yourself. It's when you start questioning your own worth or whether your feelings and thoughts even matter. In Sound Euphonium, Kumiko constantly battles with both struggles. Her uncertainty about her future feeds her self-doubt, and her self-doubt reinforces her uncertainty. Both feelings exist side by side, shaping how Kumiko sees herself and her place in music. The first example of this is at the very beginning of the series. Kumiko purposely chooses a high school that doesn't have any musical achievements, hoping to avoid the same thing that happened in middle school. She doesn't know if she even wants to continue with music or whether she should stay with the euphonium or move on to something new. That's the uncertainty. She doesn't know what she wants. But behind that is self-doubt. Back in middle school, when the band only managed a dot gold at the competition, Kumiko felt fine about it. She was even pretty pleased with it, right? Because gold is gold. She thought it was enough and that they couldn't reach higher. Then she saw Reina crying next to her, devastated that they didn't make it to the next stage. That sight stays with her forever. Every time she even thinks of music, she remembers that difference, how Reina cared so deeply while she just accepted it. It makes her wonder if she's even suited for music at all, if she's the kind of person who lacks passion, drive, or talent. Her uncertainty about continuing music becomes inseparable from her doubt in herself. A second example appears later, when Kumiko becomes close to Asuka. Asuka represents everything Kumiko admires, but she can't fully understand her. Asuka is confident, talented, and always in control. Yet, even her future is uncertain. Her family doesn't support her passion for music, and she's forced to consider giving up the euphonium altogether. For Kumiko, that uncertainty hits deeply because she's seen it before. Her older sister, Mamiko, went through the same thing. Mamiko played the trombone but eventually quit to focus on academics, pushed by their parents to pursue a proper future and set an example for her younger sister. Now, Mamiko lives with regret, not because she made the wrong choice, but because she never really got to make her own. Kumiko can't stop herself from seeing Asuka and Mamiko as reflections of one another. Both are talented musicians who had to compromise their love for music because of external pressure. And so the uncertainty of whether Asuka will stay or quit becomes mixed with Kumiko's self-doubt. She fears that she might fail again to reach out, to help, or even to understand someone she admires so much. She failed to do that with Mamiko, and she doesn't want to repeat it. At the same time, she doubts whether her thoughts or feelings would even make a difference. Through these moments, Sound Euphonium shows how uncertainty and self-doubt feed each other. The more unsure Kumiko is about her place, the more she questions her worth. And the more she doubts herself, the harder it becomes to find what she truly wants. The different anime discussed here, whether it's the funny Bocchi the Rock, the dramatic Girls Band Cry, or the bittersweet Sound Euphonium, don't rush to resolve their emotions. They let those feelings sit, showing that carrying your own struggles along the way is part of growing up. Every story we've talked about shows that growth doesn't happen in isolation. You can only change when you're around others who challenge you, understand you, or simply stick with you, even when things are awkward, messy, or frustrating. Friendship in these shows isn't easy, just like real life. Who would have thought? People clash, misunderstand each other, or push each other away. But that's exactly why it matters. You don't grow when everything fits neatly together. You grow when friction forces you to confront parts of yourself you didn't know were there. Bocchi has come a long way. In the first season, she goes from hiding in her shell, terrified of being seen, to performing on stage in front of her schoolmates, her parents, her fans. She makes eye contact with her bandmates, shows small bursts of confidence, and starts becoming the rock star she's always wanted to be. Each awkward interaction, every mistake, every step on stage is part of her growth. She obviously still has a long way to go, but she's moving forward. In Girls Band Cry, Nina's growth is slow too, though different. She doesn't suddenly become perfect or fully liberated. Part of her journey comes from confronting her parents. They dismissed her struggles, leaving her feeling isolated and misunderstood. By finally talking to them honestly, she begins to see their perspectives while expressing her own. She realizes that her parents' concern and guidance came from a place of care, even if it felt suffocating at times. Equally important is her relationship with Hina, her best friend who once abandoned her. The two couldn't be more different. Nina is idealistic, driven by emotion and conviction, while Hina is grounded and, well, realistic. Both are extremely prideful and would never think the other is right. Yet their conflict is rooted in care. Growth for Nina comes from understanding that conflicting opinions and different approaches don't mean people don't care about each other. And then there's Sound Euphonium, a story that spans years of Kumiko's life and captures every messy stage of becoming someone you can be proud of. Similar to the other two, Kumiko's growth isn't dramatic or sudden. It's slow, painful, and deeply human. Through her friendships with Reina, Hazuki, Midori, Asuka, Taki-sensei, and basically the whole concert band, she learns that caring about others doesn't mean losing herself. What I mean by that is Kumiko learns she can support, empathize with, and be responsible for other people without completely sacrificing her own desires, values, or voice. Each season forces her to face new kinds of tension, such as the jealousy that comes from comparison, the confusion of leadership, and the fear of saying what she really thinks. She starts out as a girl who drifts along, unsure of what she wants, but gradually learns to make choices with conviction. By the time she becomes president of the concert band, she's starting to guide others, taking responsibility, and finally trusting that her voice has weight. Sound Euphonium captures growth as something cumulative, sometimes in grand moments, sometimes in quiet ones. Across these stories, growth is never instant, and it's never complete, but the friendships, the shared struggles, and the moments of honesty all create the conditions for transformation. Bocchi, Nina, and Kumiko are all on different points of that journey, but they are all moving forward, learning to trust themselves, to act despite fear, and to value connection over isolation. In many stories, friendship is treated like a shortcut, the magical solution where everything fixes itself once everyone believes in each other. That trope does not exist here. These friendships don't erase loneliness, betrayal, or doubt. They shape how the characters deal with their struggles, providing perspective, support, and motivation to keep going, even when the path is difficult and uncertain. Friendship is where the characters start turning pain into progress, and where the first real steps toward finding their voice begin. Girls Band Anime is all about dreaming, about making friends, sharing the same passion, and working toward the same goal. To do that, you have to step way out of your comfort zone. You have to put yourself out there over and over again, even when it's awkward, messy, or scary. And that's exactly what makes these stories so inspiring. They're about living fully, honestly, and without holding back. For me, watching these shows hits differently. I don't really have big goals or dreams. I feel lost most of the time. Even making this YouTube channel started as just something to do, right? To keep busy. But seeing these characters, seeing them struggle and grow, makes me feel like maybe I can dream too. Music itself is incredible in these stories. The lyrics, the solos, the harmonies, the rhythm, all of it combined creates something inspiring, something that speaks to the heart. Music becomes a way to express frustration, to scream, "I exist," to the world. It can ease the uncertainty about the future. It can be a way to connect with people, even if you've never met them. And most importantly, it reminds you of something that should never be forgotten. Just do something you like. Even if it feels pointless, even if it doesn't add value, doing something you love makes life worth living, and it guarantees that in the end, you won't regret having tried. That's what this genre teaches me, that growth, connection, and self-expression aren't neat or perfect. They're messy, difficult, sometimes painful, but they're meaningful. So my one takeaway is this: don't live your life with regrets. Take the risks that scare you. Try the things you've always wanted to try, even if it's hard, even if it's uncomfortable. And, well, if you don't end up liking it, then it's fine. That's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you truly live. So here's to, hopefully, years of struggle, effort, mistakes, and pain, but without regret.